welcome back, sexy anomalies. Today we're going to speak about how to unlock your genius self. Why is it so important to unlock your genius self and unlock the prodigy self? Simply, if you want to excel in every single aspect, it's going to make it 10 times easier, and you're going to be in the flow with the universe, in the flow with your highest self, in the flow with your genius self, and everything is going to unfold naturally because it's only a matter of awareness. This life really and truly is only a matter of awareness. The more awareness you have, the more knowledge you have, the more control over your reality you have. Are you ready?
Yes.
Perfect. Cool. So if the audience is ready, if the public is ready, if you have a coffee or a tea behind your screen, that's perfect as well. As always, take some notes, leave them in the comments, send them to me on Instagram. Max, I have, for those of you who are new to this channel, we have some private jokes, so follow along. Cool. So what I'm gonna do for you guys today, I know you guys miss my drawings. So we're gonna have two drawings today. And you guys, and she's going to guess as well, okay? We're gonna guess. Cool. So number one. I know, suspense. You guys are like crazy suspense right now. And you too. Boom, boom, boom. And then another guess is going to be. There we go. Bro. I'm getting tired of showing. So, guess what this is? This, sorry?
Un musicien.
Un musicien. Who in particular? Have you guessed it? This guy is obviously, if you haven't recognized this guy, then you need to get your eyes checked. Mozart. Why am I speaking about Mozart? Because simply, by the age of 3 to 5, he started playing piano, he started being a prodigy, he started being a genius in his field. And really and truly, genius and prodigy are quite the same thing. It's literally a synonym. It's just that prodigy is more so used in a specific area of expertise. Genius is more a broad term to say, oh, he's a genius in music, he's a genius intellectually, he's a genius in math, etc., etc., etc. But genius and prodigy, in of it itself, for the sake of simplicity and for the sake of this video, I want you to understand that those are synonyms. Cool. So, why was Mozart already being able to be called a genius or a prodigy at 3 to 5 years old, while there's people out there that are struggling to be smart at 40, 50, 60, and even 70 years old? I'm going to give you another drawing. So, you're going to guess it. I mean, really and truly, it's going to be easy, but... yeah, I mean, you're right. This is not Elastic Girl or whatever. And then I'm losing myself. No. Calm down. This is not it. I'm gonna tell you. I'm gonna give you boom boom. This one, the same guy, but this time with a bright smile. Hold on. I'm not done yet. And then here and this. Cool. So, what is this? What is this, do you think, guys?
Je pense qu'avant c'est en mode il boit.
Okay.
Et après évolution. C'est toi quoi.
Absolutely. So this is me. This is me when I was back in 2020. When I was depressed, miserable in a depressing corporate job, I was drinking alcohol, I was smoking weed, I was taking cocaine, I was taking drugs, and I was completely involved in free dopamine. So, video game, porn, whatever it is. And why is this so important? Well, simply because I was able to go from where I was and where most people are today to being successful in every single aspect, time, money, education free. I went from being a skinny nerd to jacked and shredded. I went from being a broke, depressed corporate minus, I'll put the screenshot up, but minus 2K in my bank account after investing in my first mentor, everything. I invested everything in my first mentor. I was minus 2K, even minus 5K, I think, to being able to make 64K per week with an online business, being time, money, and location free, and being a shy and timid kid to dating beautiful women and being location free and time free. So, as you've guessed it, this is me, my transformation. And why are we speaking about Mozart or me? Simply because what we did both was we unlocked our genius self. We unlocked our prodigy self. And this is how you naturally flow into the universe and be able to excel in your area of expertise. So for Mozart, it was the music. For me, it was excelling in every single aspect. And we're going to give you exactly the neuroscience, the psychobiology, and the spirituality and the practical steps for you to unlock your genius self. It's important to understand the prism of which we understand this. Again, is to give you maximum amount of awareness, maximum amount of knowledge, because knowledge is power. Most people will tell you, knowledge is only potential power until applied. The fact is, it's because they're not giving you the real knowledge. If you have the real knowledge, the real esoteric knowledge, as we call it, then you will have and you will unlock the real power. Because esotericism means the knowledge for the initiated, the knowledge that gives you the power. Exotericism means the knowledge for the masses. And where has the knowledge of the masses gotten you? Average results, mediocre results. Cool. So, number 2, it's important to understand this is your brain. Okay? What, you don't like my brain?
On dirait un tu sais, les haricots là.
Okay, so your brain is comprised of 3 stages: reptilian, limbic, and neocortex. Now, where do you think the masses usually lie in these 3 brains? So just let me write it first, and then I'll let you answer it, okay? So reptilian, limbic, and then neocortex. Okay, so where do you think the masses mainly operate from? Is it reptilian, limbic, or neocortex? À ton avis, quel est le cerveau principalement que la masse utilise dans leur day-to-day, dans leur quotidien? Limbic or reptilian?
Non, reptilien.
Exactly. So the reptilian brain is the first brain that you have, is really designed to help you survive, okay? It's like, its main goal is just survival, okay? Survival, fight or flight, and something that you virgins wouldn't know about. No, I'm kidding. Don't get offended. Reproduction, sexual activity, reproduction. Okay? Now, most people operate from here. Why? Because they are enslaved by the system. The system, by the way, is designed to keep you on the reptilian part of the brain, survival mode. Why do you think that you keep struggling every single month after you've gotten paid your income to know exactly where you should be putting your money, to multiply your money? You've never been taught this. You've always been taught to do as you're told and to be kept in survival mode. Why do you think that the programs on television are so negative and gets you in a stressful, fearful, angry situation? Well, it's because they are keeping you in fight or flight. Why? Because once you are in the reptilian part of the brain, you're actually easily manipulated. That's the reality of the game, guys. Why do you think that all these institutions are not giving you the power? Why do you think that there's people like me that are blowing up on social media, on internet? Because they're giving you and they're empowering you, okay? Because the system is in of itself designed to keep you in your reptilian brain. Why is that? Because you become more profitable for society. You become a consumerism. You try to fight your stress. I would say the main characteristics of the masses when it comes to the reptilian brain, the main emotion, the main feeling is the one of stress. Okay? The one of stress. Cool. Now, let's speak about the limbic brain. What do you think is the goal of the limbic brain? Qu'est-ce que tu penses? À quoi ça sert le cerveau limbique, à ton avis? All right.
Là où il y a la glande pinéale.
Wow, calm down. She's getting immediately too much compared to what we want to discuss here. We're not going to speak about the pineal gland today, but yeah. Okay, so, okay.
Plus la pleine conscience. Là où il y a ton subconscient. En gros. Ok, pas du tout.
Okay, so it's mainly responsible for your emotions, okay? So the emotions of, for instance, love, security, you want to be part of something, right? If you look at security is actually more reptilian. If you look at the Maslow's pyramid, you'll see that it correlates. Those 3 levels usually correlates to every single level of what Maslow's described. This is usually where you have, emotions of, love, anger, sadness, let's say, sadness. Okay. So the limbic part of the brain is responsible for managing your emotions. Now the thing is, and you will see that oftentimes, the masses has a problem with balancing the brains. The problem with the masses is usually that there's one brain taking over the other two. And why is that an issue? Well, simply because it's crazy hot here in the summer. I think it's like, 30 degrees Celsius or 28? But either way, the problem with the masses is that they tend to have one brain overtaking the others. And this prevents them from unlocking their genius self. How can you be a genius when you're stressed? By the way, I'm going to tell you a story. I always thought I was average. I always thought I was mediocre at best at school. I had a lot of trouble understanding what the teachers were speaking of. And I thought, oh, maybe I'm too dumb. Maybe I don't get it. I'm such a loser. I don't understand. So I was constantly living in stress. And the thing is, you'll see, if you're new to this channel, we also speak about spirituality, consciousness, frequency, vibration. It's all related to your level of vibration and your level of frequency. So I was always basically lowering down my vibration, keeping myself in the reptilian brain, keeping myself in survival mode, and this prevented me from understanding the core concepts that was taught to me. And today I have people from doctors, ambitious individuals, successful entrepreneurs, public figures, celebrities, very high IQ people sometimes coming to see me and hire me to help them excel in all aspects, scale their lives, scale their business. And they consider me, for some of them, they consider me a prodigy or genius. How come? Well, simply because I aligned myself and I did everything that I'm going to tell you in this masterclass. So the masses, basically, 90% of people are living in stress. When they're not living in stress, 9% of them are usually more so in their emotions, love, anger, sadness. And then, I'm speaking on a daily basis, on a consistent daily basis. Then we have the neocortex. The neocortex is responsible for high-level thinking, logic, high-level thinking, processing, right? Processing. So it would be logical, intellectual, problem solving, all of this. Now, why am I starting with the 3 levels of the brain? Simply because you've seen a tendency in life where people always prioritize one. There's people who live in survival mode. Typically, people in the ghetto, for instance. They tend to live in a survival mode. Tend to live, at every corner of the street. They're like, oh, I'm gonna get jumped, right? And that keeps you in a survival stressful mechanism. And that prevents them from getting to the higher level thinking and getting into their genius self. So the more stressed you are, the less logical you'll become. And you've noticed this, right? When you're crazy stressed, it's impossible for you to be logical. It's impossible for you to really solve a problem deeply. Why? Well, because basically, the reptilian brain is overpowering. It's like there's too much emphasis on the reptilian brain, and it's overpowering. You're using all the energy that you have in your brain in the reptilian brain. Then you have the other example. By the way, this is 1%. Then you have the other example of people too much in their emotions, right? Typically, when somebody is angry, is it easy for you to make them rationalize what's happening? No, they're too much in their angry. Typically, the typical example is when your wife or your girlfriend throws a tantrum at you, and you're like, but it doesn't make sense. Why are you like shouting at me? And she's like, you're such a dick, and stuff like that, right? So that's the thing. Sometimes when you're too much in the limbic brain, it overpowers the three brains. Then it overpowers the three brains, and therefore there's no logical explanation behind that. Or when you're too love, why do we say love is blind? Because it prevents you from thinking logically, intellectually, because again, the limbic expression, the limbic part of the brain is taking over the entire sphere. And now, when you're too much on the neocortex, right? When the neocortex is too much, then you become like these heartless scientist, or you become too nerdy, too logical. You don't necessarily have emotion. You're just in the flow constantly. And you're just productive, right? You're just good at what you do. But the problem is then people can't relate to you, right? You have a tendency of being like outside of how people can relate to you. And then obviously, you don't necessarily think about sex or reproduction or anything like that. That's why usually when people who are very, sciencey, nerdy, they spend too much time in the neocortex, what happens? Usually they don't necessarily want sex, right? They don't really care about sex. Have you ever noticed when you're really, really productive, when you're really working on a subject that is really interesting and you're so focused and you're really operating at a high level thinking, logical, business-wise, usually at that time, you don't want sex. You don't care about sex. But when you're too much about sex, right? When you're too sexual, is it really possible for you to operate at a high level? No, it's hard. And when you're too much in love, anger, or sadness, when you're grieving for the death of your parents, for instance, is it possible for you to have a high level of thinking? No. And do you think when you're grieving, do you think about sex? No. So you see, the problem is that people tend to have one brain that overcomes or over-operates over the other two. Now, what's then the solution for you to be your genius self? Well, you need to align them all. Okay? You need to align them all. Why do I mean by that? Because every single brain needs to be treated differently. That's the main mistake that I see most people do. I see most people treating the neocortex like the reptilian. I see most people treating the limbic as the neocortex or the reptilian like the limbic. No. So, what do we need to do for the reptilian for us to then go to the limbic and then go to the neocortex and have an alignment on all three brains to be able to have a synchronicity and unlock the genius self? Well, the reptilian needs to be calm. You need to reduce your stress levels. If you don't reduce your stress levels, you will never be able to tap into the highest level of thinking, which is in the neocortex. If you're constantly stressed, you will never be able to be a genius. Which is why in hypnotherapy, for those of you who are new to this channel, I'm huge into neuroscience, psychobiology, metaphysics, quantum physics, spirituality, God potential, the study of NDEs, and overall applying that to every single aspect of your life, whether it's business first, then relationships, health, whatever it is, for you to excel in every single aspect. Because the goal of this channel in of it itself is to help you become a multi-dimensional winning individual, okay? Now, why am I speaking about this? Because after 9 years of pure personal development, business development, neuroscience, all of the topics that I've mentioned, and investing over 257.5K right now in world-class experts, psychiatrists, psychologists, hypnotherapists, world-class underground mentors, I've also discovered how to calm and how to unlock the genius and prodigy in every single individual that I work with. And one of the things that is the main important lesson here is you need to calm your reptilian brain. In hypnotherapy, what they do, obviously depending on the hypnotherapist, but if he's good, what you guys do is first you reduce the stress mechanisms, okay? He basically convinces you, the person convinces you to reduce your stress mechanism by operating emotionally and logically, right? So usually all types of stress comes from the fear. Stress is just a synonym or a symptom of the emotion of fear or the emotion of the uneasiness that fear creates. And where does all fear come from? Well, what's the number one fear, do you think? What's the first fear that someone has in life?
En français,
La première peur que quelqu'un a dans sa vie.
l'échec.
La première. Genre celle qui crée tout. The one that really is like the source of every fear.
La peur d'être seul. En vrai, il y a tellement de peur. Enfin,
Death. La peur de mourir. That's
c'est exactement ce que j'ai dit.
de l'échec, t'as dit? So, the fear of death, okay? Every single fear and every single stress stems from fear slash, right? Fear because associated with survival, right? Fear slash stress is linked to the fear of death. So, usually, depending on the hypnotherapist, what do? Well, they convince you or they persuade you or they reduce your stressful mechanism logically and emotionally in your relationship to death, okay? If the hypnotherapist is world class, usually that's what happens. Because at the end of the day, every single human being, before they get spiritual, before they get awakened, before they tap into God potential or infinite intelligence, what's happening? You want to go to the toilet? No? I see you doing like this. Okay. Every single individual has a fear of death before getting to the higher awareness, depending obviously on your soul's mission and your soul's path, because some, like Mozart, for instance, the age of his soul, the age, right? Because I don't want to get into reincarnation in this video, but basically the higher the age of the soul, the more extrasensorial perception you are born with and the more awareness you're already born with. Because now that you've gotten to the experience of rediscovering that you're actually not a human, you're a soul and you're infinite and you're a particle of God. If you don't know what I'm speaking of, go watch my video on how to unlock your God income and how to unlock the winning frequency. But you are a particle of God. You are in of itself part of the infinite. And this humanistic experience allows you to enter in a so focused manner a game that you forget who you truly are. This is why this game is so interesting, is because you actually forget who and how much control you have. You need to understand that death is merely, again, this comes from a guy who has had an NDE, stroke at 23, and who has been obsessed with studying the secrets of the universe and what basically people have said after they've had NDEs. So what is the God potential and everything. And I want you to see this as a mere transition. Now, this is not religious beliefs. This is not for you to change your entire perception of religion or anything like that. This is just to give you what I would say a better belief system that will help you align yourself and enjoy this game to the fullest, which is called life. Okay? So again, this refers back to the first law of thermodynamic. Energy is never destroyed, it's only transmuted or transformed. Okay? You are mere consciousness, mere energy. Again, if you haven't watched the 2 latest videos on winning frequency and God income, watch them, because it's mandatory for you to understand how to unlock your genius self, because your perception of yourself and your perception of the world will then never be in alignment with what's the true potential that you have inside of you. Cool. So usually what happens? Well, he calms down your reptilian brain in terms of the fear of death, emotionally and logically, the hypnotherapist. You need to calm it down. Reduce the stressful mechanism. Reduce the stress that you have in your life, okay? Whether it's external or internal, but usually the external is a reflection of the internal, right? So you need to calm yourself down first. You need to become a more chilled individual. Whatever it is, reprogram your subconscious mind. I'm not going to get into too much detail into this masterclass because we have a lot of things to cover, but just to give you a few examples, meditation, reprogramming your subconscious mind, bettering your life, because if you're bettering your life and you have your finances on point, you have built a business that obviously allows you to live in a prosperity manner, then you're not going to be constantly in survival mode. You're not going to be constantly fearful and stressed, okay? Now, number 2, the limbic. Now that we have the reptilian brain that is calmed down, the limbic, what do you think needs to happen for the limbic? À ton avis, maintenant qu'on a calmé le reptilien, qu'est-ce qui doit se passer? Quel doit être l'état du cerveau limbique pour qu'on puisse ensuite être cohérent pour les 3 cerveaux? T'as une idée?
Bah, j'aurais dit calme aussi.
Calme?
Enfin, apaiser ses émotions.
Apaiser ses... Ah, bien!
Apaiser ses émotions.
So that's the thing. That's basically here. I'm gonna write it here. You need to have coherence. You need your emotion to be coherent. What do I mean by that? What does coherence mean? Well, look at what you want to achieve in life. Because again, treat this life as a video game, because it truly is. Okay? I promise you it truly is. Treat this life as you being the avatar and you not being the body, you being the controlling entity that controls this avatar, and look at life as the game. So now, the beautiful thing with this game of life is that you can decide your own goals. There's no preset goals for you. I'm not gonna get too spiritual, but you can decide your goal. So what is your goal? What is your desired reality? Cool. Then who do you need to become in order to align yourself with that desired reality? And then coming back to the coherence. Remember that one identity creates one reality, one-on-one. Your reality is just a mere reflection of your identity. That's what they've proven in quantum physics with the observer effect, okay? That your identity, your focus, your concentration, your attention, your frequency, your consciousness determines the reality that you're getting, which is why this YouTube channel is dedicated to elevate your level of consciousness, elevate your level of awareness on a multitude of areas of your life for you to become excellent in all aspects. Cool. So, coherence. Now that we know that identity equals reality, okay? That desired reality, linking back to who you need to become, well, how would that person feel? Okay? What are the coherent emotion that this identity version of yourself that has the reality would feel? So for instance, if you're a multimillionaire, you know, what maybe the coherent emotion would be feeling serene, feeling peaceful, feeling at ease, feeling abundant, feeling charitable, right? Because if you're a multimillionaire, maybe you're going to give to charity or you're going to give more gifts to your loved ones. So the coherence aspect of the limbic brain needs to be specific to you and your desired reality. Cool. Now, the last thing. Now that we have the reptilian and the limbic that are coherent and aligned, the neocortex then needs to be lucid. What does it mean that it needs to be lucid? What does it mean to have a lucid dream, for instance? What does it mean to have a lucid dream? A lucid dream, it means that you are in an environment, in a dream state environment, but then you are lucid enough to understand that it's a dream. Same thing here. You need to understand that this is a dream or a video game. You need to be extremely lucid on what exactly you want to achieve. Okay? So, that comes back to your desired reality. You want to achieve what? Cool. So you need to be extremely lucid on what are the knowledge, the expertise, and where do you put your attention? Where do you put your focus on? Focus, concentration, knowledge, and skills that are linked to your desired reality and your desired identity. Now that you're calm, now that you are coherent, and now that you're lucid, this is when we have an aligned, we have the 3 brains that are aligned. And this, and I'll say that later down the line, later in this masterclass, but this allows you to unlock the last brain, which is the spiritual brain. By the way, thank you guys so much for all the support that I'm getting lately. Love you guys. I remember like the first whiteboard masterclass that I did, I was like, okay, you know, if it only helps like 20 people, I'm happy. And now like the latest one, like I got like, I don't know how many thousands of views. So yeah, man, thank you so much. We're growing rapidly, love it. And let me know anything in the comment section. I'll happily oblige and help you out with a certain type of subject. Cool. So now that we have the brain, the cerebral brain out of the way, now we need to align ourselves, number 3, we need to align ourselves with the 2 other brains. Cool. So we've basically, now that the first brain is aligned, let's put it here. The first brain is aligned. Boom, like this. With it, like this. This one is aligned. That's perfect. That's the first brain. And for the sake of this video, we're going to call it the cerebral brain. T'as réussi? Ah, tu gères, merci. Cerebral brain. Okay? Now, there's 2 other brains, and we're going to make her guess it. There's 2 other brains in the body, and we're going to make her, she's preparing my coffee, I'm so glad, thank you, so grateful. Il y a, merci beaucoup. Hop là. Il y a donc 2 autres cerveaux dans le corps, et tu vas me dire où est-ce qu'ils sont. Okay?
J'ai loupé déjà un dessin.
Guys, let me teach you something about women. When they're criticizing your drawings, it's actually that they love your drawings. It's like reverse psychology. Free game for you guys out there. So, please go ahead. go ahead. Non. Oui, non, mais j'ai dit en mode la psychologie inversée que, en gros, t'aimes bien mes dessins, quoi. Bref, so.
Le cœur.
Donc là, j'ai parlé, j'ai dit, on a aligné votre cerveau, votre cerveau cérébral. Quels sont les 2 autres cerveaux qui sont absolument cruciaux dans votre corps pour justement être complètement alignés?
Le cœur.
The heart, very well.
Et l'estomac.
Nearly, presque.
Là.
Ouais, c'est les intestins.
Les intestins.
Exactement. Gut, perfect. Very well done, very well done. So, the heart is going to be in green, and the gut is going to be, okay? So this is going to be the gut. So, yes guys, you actually have a heart brain as well. Whether whether the brain, the cerebral brain, whether the heart or the gut, all of these have the neurons. It has a crazy amount of neurons which sends messages throughout the entire body. Okay? Throughout the entire body, through neuropeptides. Those neuropeptides are expressed, determines the expression of the gene, positive or negative. And when you come back, where those neuropeptides come from? They come from this heart-brain alignment, which come from electromagnetic signals, which come from, therefore, your vibration. Everything is vibration, guys. I'm excited to talk about this subject because it's really like a subject that is dear to my heart. So, oops, we need an alignment in the heart brain as well. Okay? And then we need an alignment with the gut brain. Now, why is it so important that we also have an alignment on these three brains? Well, simply because the heart brain, again, it always kind of like comes down to the same thing. Because your reptilian brain is linked to the gut, your limbic brain is linked to the heart, and your neocortex is obviously linked to higher spheres of thinking. Now, the heart brain it's really impossible for you to unlock your genius self and be in the flow and alignment, pure alignment with the universe. If, for instance, let's say that your gut is feeling well, your brain is feeling good, but your heart is aching. Or it's impossible for you to be fully aligned and fully prodigy and fully genius mode if, for instance, let's say that your gut is good, your heart is brain, but you don't have the smarts or you don't have the cerebral processing power to be able to use that genius or potential prodigy in the right direction. Specifically, the gut brain. The gut brain is actually comprised, or the gut brain actually produces 80% of your body's serotonins. What is serotonin? Qu'est-ce que c'est la sérotonine? Ah, il va falloir suivre là. J'ai vu ton regard. Il va falloir suivre. Allez, hop, hop, hop. What is serotonin?
Molécule
Ouais.
du corps. Et voilà. Après, c'est toi qui fais la vidéo, c'est pas moi. Donc,
All right, so serotonin is basically happiness chemicals. You have 4 types of happiness chemicals, guys, by the way. I'm going to do a little here. 4 types of happiness hormones, of happiness hormones or chemicals, if you will. Chemicals. There is. Vas-y, dis-moi. Les 4 types of happiness chemicals.
comment ça, les 4 types?
Les 4 types d'hormones du bonheur.
Je sais plus les noms.
Ok.
Tu vas les écrire, je vais faire. Ah oui, c'est vrai.
First
La
one.
dopamine.
Voilà, dopamine. Second one.
Mais
Quand tu fais un câlin, when you're hugging someone, when you're petting some dogs or some fur, and you're having sex. Oxytocin. Oxytocin. Then, when you're doing sports, endorphins. Endorphins. Oops, endorphins. And then, last but not least, the one that I mentioned, serotonin. Serotonin. So, now the problem with most people is that they're fucked on all levels of happiness chemicals. Their dopamine is fucked because of the free dopamine and instant gratification cycles they are stuck in. They're fucked in terms of oxytocin because they're watching porn or they're watching some fake intimacy, and therefore their brain is producing too much oxytocin compared to real life, and therefore when they come back to baseline, they're depressed. Endorphins, people are drinking alcohol or drugs to numb the pain. This, by the way, this hormone is so important because it's the pain numbing one. This one is related to short-term motivation. This one is related to love, security, and belonging. This one is linked to pain numbing the pain, and this one is related to pride, accomplishments, self-image, etc. Okay? Really and truly, in my humble opinion, this one is the king. This is the king of happiness hormones. Why I'm saying this is because it's the easiest one to reset, and it's the one that will have the best long-term benefit. Okay, this one is more short-term. This one as well. This one as well. This one is more long-term. Now, endorphins. What do most people do instead of, producing it naturally? Working out, doing some sports and stuff like that. They drink alcohol. By the way, this has a huge impact. The vices that you have, as you remember in the first graph where I showed you where I was and where I am now. One of the biggest things is to stop the vices. Stop the weed, stop the cocaine, stop the alcohol, stop the free dopamine. Because you're basically fucking up your happiness hormones and happiness chemicals. And this has, when you're fucking them up, this has a direct impact on your cerebral brain, on your heart brain, and on your gut brain. Okay? So typically, dopamine, for you to reset the dopamine cycle, well, you need to stop the phone, stop the endless video games, stop the free dopamine. Work for your dopamine. If you want to watch your phone, if you want to watch a YouTube video or a movie or whatever it is that produces you dopamine or produces you happiness, keep it at the end of the day after you've done the things that you should be doing, right? That's a classic example. Oxytocin, well, send love to your family to reset that, right? Reset that in a healthy manner. Send love to your families. Give love to charity. Give love to the world, whether it's give love for yourself as well, self-love, self-image, give love to others. Pet a dog, go to a dog park and pet dogs, give love to your partners, buy some gifts for your partners. That's how you reset and you have a healthy baseline. It's all a matter of healthy baseline, by the way, okay? It's just a matter of healthy baseline. If you're like too high, then you're gonna fall too low, and this is when you are depressed if you're too high here. Because remember the law of rhythm, the law of polarity. You can only fall as low as you were high. Okay, so the goal here is to help you just have a healthy baseline, healthy baseline, healthy baseline. That's also that's the topic for another video. Endorphins. Reset it. Stop the alcohol. Stop the weed. Stop the pain numbing effect. Why do people want the buzz of the alcohol? Why do people want the buzz of the weed? Why do people want the buzz of drugs? It's because alcohol, weed, and pain numbing drugs or vices are not the problem. It's actually the solution for a problem. It's the wrong solution, but it's a solution from the underlying cause. What is the underlying cause for people drinking alcohol and smoking weed, for instance? C'est quoi la raison principale et la cause, la réelle cause du fait que les gens boivent de l'alcool ou fument de la weed, par exemple?
Pour oublier.
Pour oublier?
Se déconnecter en fait de leurs pensées.
Exactement. So it's to forget about their miserable existence. And I know it sounds controversial, and maybe I'm going to have some hate for people who say, oh, you know, weed is medicinal and I drink alcohol, it's nothing. No, bro. The reality of the game is that if you had the amazing life that you know you could have, you would not need alcohol, you would not need drugs, you would not need weed, you would not even be interested in watching movies. And I'm telling you for a fact, I was the worst when it came to drugs, I was the worst when it came to alcohol, I was the worst when it came to addictions. Okay, I have an obsessive personality. So I fall easily prey for those types of addiction that fucks you up, your happiness chemicals and your hormones, okay? So literally, why people drink alcohol, so endorphins, is to forget and to numb the pain of the miserable existence. And that should be a wake-up call, guys. That should be a wake-up call, miserable existence. And you're gonna tell me, oh, you know, you're too extremes and stuff like that. No, I'm telling you, man. I'm telling you. Why would you indulge in alcohol when it kills your hypothalamus? So the alcohol literally kills not only your clarity of mind and your memory, it is an testosterone inhibitor. So if you're trying to gain weight, gain muscle, or lose fat, it literally kills your gains. It literally makes you a worse person, and it keeps you operating at a guilt frequency. Was there ever time where you wake up from a hangover and you don't feel any guilt or any shame? No. And if you look at the map of consciousness, guilt and shame are at the lowest. And remember, when you vibrate as a survival paradigm, you can literally not attract miracles in your life. You cannot attract good things. You only attract worse things. Then once you operate from the intellectual paradigm, you start to attract good things. But the best thing is, this is what we're going to speak about in this masterclass as well, when you start to vibrate at the spiritual paradigm, this is when you attract miracles. Okay? So endorphins, really and truly, if you don't work out or anything like that, it's literally because you're trying to forget your miserable existence when you're drinking alcohol, indulging in drugs and stuff like that. And I'm telling you, I went from where some of you are when it comes to this to now where I don't need, that's a beautiful thing. I don't need alcohol, I don't need drugs, I don't need anything. I'm just so good with myself, and that's why I'm producing this. I feel so good with myself, and that's why I feel so good. It overspills, and I want to give you some of that. Okay? The moment one day you woke up and you felt so good about yourself. You were so loving. You wanted to just do good around you, right? Whether it's charity, whether it's, the good action of the day. That's what I feel every single day. And that's why I create those YouTube videos, because I'm telling you, I was the worst when it came to this. Now, serotonin, this is why understanding the gut brain is so easy. Now, the problem with most of you guys, or most people, so I'm not saying necessarily you because I know that you're high frequency, but the problem with most of the masses is what? They're eating some bullshit food, toxic food, processed food. The easiest way, I'm giving you a hack, it's going to give you mental clarity, it's going to reset your serotonin levels. The easiest way, can you guess it? À ton avis, c'est comment qu'on reset le gut, l'intestin, et qu'on reproduit de la bonne sérotonine?
Pour moi, c'est juste recommencer une alimentation, un rééquilibre alimentaire.
Yeah, that could be one. That could be one, but the number one thing is fasting. Le jeûne intermittent, ou jeûne tout court. Fasting. Fast. Guys, if you've never fasted in your life, I highly recommend you fast. Not only when you fast, you're going to gain mental clarity, obviously depending on how your body reacts and stuff like that. The number one thing that you can do to reset your brain and your gut brain and reset the healthy serotonin production is fast for at least 12 to 16 hours and then eat, okay? But get into the habit of fasting. I fast every single day. And I do the biggest task of my day when I'm in fasted mode. I have friends that literally, one of my friends, he literally finished a 72-hour fast. And he said not only did it reset entirely his serotonin, he's feeling extreme mental clarity, he's feeling good, calm, and in flow with the universe, but most importantly, it resetted his palate. And so it resetted literally the fact that he now can appreciate much more whole foods or normal foods instead of processed bullshit that is extremely sugary or extremely salted. Okay? Super, super important. So, treat your gut as, that's why we say the gut is the second brain. Treat your gut as the second brain. And the heart is embody the version of yourself that would already be successful. Okay? You know what? Fuck this. We're just going to redo it again. Okay? So, the gut brain, the heart brain, and the cerebral brain. Okay? You need to be aware of this. You need to treat your entire body as one. Treat your brain by giving the right mental diet. Treat your heart brain by giving the right emotional diet. Feel as if you're already successful. It always comes down, in this video, it always comes down to the alignment. Alignment on the 3 planes of existence, the dimensions, your body, every single thing for you to be successful is alignment. Okay? Fuck, it's hot, man. Whew. Tu veux bien filer une serviette? So, this, literally, fix your mental diet, fix your emotional diet, and obviously, as she said, fix your food diet. It's all a matter of diet and what you feed yourself on all the brains daily. Do you feed yourself with bullshit information about wars, about, scarcity mindset, about, the economy, recession and stuff like that? Of course, then you start to synchronize your brain with these thought patterns, and then you start to attract it. Remember, because the universe is a mirror and it responds to your vibration being comprised mainly of your thought pattern, your emotions, and overall your vibration that is also depending on your serotonin. Because if you fuck up your serotonin, you're not gonna feel good. Serotonin is the number one antidepressant that your body creates. So if you're under antidepressant right now, start a fast. Start resetting your gut brain. Start resetting your gut brain. Serotonin is literally responsible for if you're depressed or if you're happy, okay? This can literally have, depression, a huge impact on your anxiety and your depression, okay? So, it's all a matter of alignment. Do you feed your mind with bullshit? Do you feed your mind with bullshit YouTube videos, for instance, right? That are just like brain rotting your brain. Emotional diets. Are you feeding your heart with good, abundance, serenity, love diets? Whether it's visualizing you through visualization, whether it's making sure that you only hang out with people that make you feel good or empower you to become a better version of yourself. And food diet, are you giving it bullshit processed food like the majority of the masses, or actually are you fasting? Are you taking care of your mitochondria? Are you taking care of everything on the cellular level? This graph in of it itself also represents the 3 types of consciousness. The gut is linked to the reptilian brain, but also the animal consciousness, okay? Consciousness. Okay, so you start there. Start with your food diet. By the way, it's impossible, have you noticed, right? It's impossible if you eat like a shit ton of processed pasta, what do you feel? You feel heavy. You feel heavy in the stomach, right? You feel low energy. And you feel foggy in the brain. So you need to first fix your gut brain, then fix your heart brain, and then fix your cerebral brain. And it always comes down to what we said before. Align first, calm the reptilian brain, do it in the right manner, then be coherent in the linking brain, and then you'll be able to be lucid in the cerebral brain. This is literally linked to the previous cerebral brains. You need to first fix your gut brain, then heart brain, then cerebral brain. So this is linked to the ascension in spirituality from animal consciousness to intellectual consciousness to spiritual consciousness, okay? This one, once you've been doing this, once you align intellectual consciousness, once you align your gut and your heart, then you're able to be more clear and you're able to start then thinking at a higher level, being more intellectual, because you're not either feeling super bad, feeling like in survival mode, or you're not in depressed, or you're not angry, you're calm, you're coherent. This is when you're able to start to unlock the neocortex. And once you've aligned with the neocortex, with the mental diet, with the cerebral brain, this is when then you enter, and that's actually number 4, spiritual consciousness. Okay? This is the ascension process. Once you fix the food diet, the emotional diet, the mental diet, you have this awareness of those 3 brains in your body. You have this awareness of the 3 types of cerebral brains, and you're able to align all of them. This is when you go from animal consciousness to intellectual consciousness to spiritual consciousness. And you've noticed you can actually find these 3 types of consciousness throughout the masses. The people who are on a very animal consciousness, they're like only focusing on survival mode, on the, only the money or killing the money, the drugs or anything like that. Boom, intellectual consciousness, building businesses, doing some stuff to improve our lives. Boom, and then spiritual consciousness, the people that are elevated in every single aspect, looking to excel in every single aspect, self-actualize and self-transcend, which is basically becoming the best version of yourself and giving that gift to the world, which is basically what I'm doing right now. Cool? Does it make sense? So what happens then when you operate at a spiritual consciousness? Well, this is when we tap into the beautiful alignment in the dimensions and the planes of existence. Because here you've noticed I'm giving you basically an awareness in terms of neuroscience, psychobiology, how, hormonology as well, mostly focused on you having this perception of the 3-dimensional realm, your body, how it functions, etc. But the thing is, once you do that, once you align your body and the brains of your body physically, then you also have, Max, we also have an alignment that is much easier on all the planes of existence. And remember, you exist on 3 planes. This is what the spiritual of old, or the religious of old, or the scientist of old, whether it's, Atlantis, ancient Egypt, all these civilizations understood that you exist on 3 planes. More than that, actually. But for the sake of simplicity, as Leonardo da Vinci said, simplicity is the ultimate form of sophistication. So we're going to keep it simple. But now that you're starting to align yourself, so this is an aligned individual. He has huge legs, bro, and huge arms. It's actually Slender Man, bro. Okay, cool. So the moment you start to align yourself, okay, you're aligned, your brain and stuff like that, you start to unlock your genius self, because now you have nothing preventing you from not having mental clarity, preventing you from being overwhelmed with your emotions, and everything is in the flow. You're now entering what we call alpha state, which is a flow state, or even gamma state. Those are the 3 aligned brains. Oula. This and like this. This is not reference to chakras, by the way. This is another story for another time. But you're aligned. Now that you're aligned, what happens then? You're aligned in the 3D. But the thing is, you're not just the body. Remember, you're the mind and you're the soul. And your aura is actually above, and your impact and your vibration is actually above the 3D and under the 3D as well. You're a multi-dimensional individual, which is why people sometimes go into the lower astral, and they call it hell. But they've created, by them lowering their vibration, they themselves go into a lower dimension, okay? So here, for the sake of simplicity's sake, we're going to call it 4D, 5D, and then 6D, which is the spiritual plane, okay? But the thing is this, when you're able to align yourself, right, then what happens is that you have a bigger impact on the higher planes, and you vibrate at a higher level naturally because it's all a matter of vibration and frequency. And therefore, you're able to tap into the causal planes because it always is causal. Okay, it always comes like this. This is causal, and this is the realm of effect. Okay, effect or consequence, right? The realm of effect. The 3D is the realm of effect. The problem is, you look at the 3D with your eyes. Let's say your eyes like this, right? You look at the circumstances, you look at the effect, and then you're like, then my life is shit, then I'm a loser. And therefore what happens is, you're literally, this is the wrong way of thinking about it, you're looking at an effect, and then you recreate the effect by changing the cause. You're like, so because my third dimensional realm, my physical reality is bullshit, then I'm a loser, right? And then you're like, okay, but well, if I'm a loser, then I feel like a loser, because 4D is the emotional realm, and then therefore you recreate the 3-dimensional realm. This is the problem with most people. Most people, they are looking at the 3rd-dimensional realm, and they're letting the 3D affect the 5D, which is the mental. Just for simplicity's sake, I'm gonna write it down here. This is spiritual, for you guys not to miss out on the explanation. Mental, emotional, and obviously, you spiritual gurus, don't come at me like, you forgot the one body, the etheric body. Okay, cool, bro. Like, just simplicity's sake, okay? So, and this is obviously the physical, right? Physical dimension. The problem is this: most people, they do this. They look at their physical dimension, they see it's bullshit, and they don't like it. So therefore, they're like, therefore, I mean, like, I'm basically a loser. And the worst thing they can say, it's even more than, I think I'm a loser. It's actually, God hates me. And when they say God hates me, they're literally tapping into the spiritual dimension, the 6D. They say, God hates me. My destiny is bullshit. This is literally then creating the thought pattern of a bullshit destiny, the emotion of a bullshit destiny, and therefore a bullshit destiny. Okay? So this was just like a little parenthesis, because it's important to understand that you are a multidimensional individual. This is just a body. This is just a physical body, but you have an emotional body, you have a mental body, you have a spiritual body, okay? So why am I speaking about this? You need to understand that you need to align yourself on all planes of existence, okay? Now, how do we do that? Now that you have a coherent, you're aware, and you have more control over your body, your gut brain, your heart brain, and your cerebral brain, and you're starting to align yourself on the 3D. Cool. Now, you have your goal. Remember, identity creates reality. So you have your goal. What is the goal like? What is the 3rd-dimensional realm that you want, basically? Cool. Now that we know that the spiritual, mental, and emotional creates in a down cascade manner the 3D, well, we're going to reverse engineer that. Now that you're, able to have your genius / potential, prodigy potential, genius potential or prodigy potential. Then, what is the correct view of life then? Okay, I'm the universe's favorite, or I'm God's favorite, I'm godlike. If you haven't watched, again, the videos about becoming more godlike and unlocking your God income, this is literally another explanation that I give. But the goal is for you to become more godlike, right? Because then you're closer to God, you have more power, so you have a godlike way of seeing reality. So you're much more spiritual, but empowered spiritually. Then you're like, okay, how would God think? How would the godlike version of myself think? So you're gonna start to have godlike thoughts. I can do anything I put my mind into. I'm mere abundance. I'm grateful for the abundance that is constantly flowing inside of me and through me and for me. So you're starting to have better thoughts, right? Then you're starting to feel better because you're starting to align yourself as if the reality is already there. So you're feeling better about yourself. You're feeling like the God self that you truly are, because you're a particle of God. The soul is a particle of God. So you're a part of the infinite. So it doesn't make sense for you to be fearful, angry, sad if you're part of the infinite, the all, infinite potential, infinite abundance. Because if you're part of the infinite abundance, then you can have also, and you can be infinite abundance. Okay? So you see, all your problems is really and truly a lack of the awareness of the spiritual planes, okay? And the higher planes. and how we reverse engineer all of that. So you start to feel better about yourself, you start to feel serene, you start to feel like your genius self, you start to feel like your prodigy self, you feel good about yourself, and from there on out, obviously because the universe is a mirror, it reflects that back how you feel, how you think, and who you truly are. Boom, it creates a better, positive reality. So now, you're not just aligned in the third dimensional realm, you start to align yourself on all the realms. And this is when magic starts to happen. This is when, remember, animalistic, intellectual, so more so like here, intellectual, and then spiritual. And this is also, I'll pull up again the map of consciousness. This is also linked to the map of consciousness, because here naturally what happens is because of your awareness, because of your elevation of consciousness, and because of your alignment, you naturally vibrate higher and have a higher frequency, therefore a higher identity, therefore a higher reality. Okay? Does that make sense?
Yes.
Cool. Now, for you, those of you who are like, oh, this guy is spiritual, I'm a scientist, I don't believe in that bullshit, remember, at first, it's all a matter of elevation. At first, you are mental, you are very intellectual, you are very sciencey, but at the highest level of science, you then become spiritual. There is a reason why Heisenberg, quantum physicist, Nobel Prize of 1932, he said, a bit of science will make you an atheist, a lot of science will bring you back to God. Sorry, a bit of science makes you an atheist, but at the bottom of the glass of natural science, you will find God. Same thing for Louis Pasteur, founder of microbiology, said a little science gets you away from God, but a lot of science brings you back to Him. There is a reason why the founder of telegraph, Samuel Morse, and the founder of radio, which is Guglielmo Marconi, which was the founder of the radio, they were both believers. Okay, proudly saying that they were both believers, and it was actually God / the infinite intelligence that gave them the idea of the telegraph and gave them the idea of the radio. Okay, one of the most powerful mentors that I've had and I still have, very spiritual, very philosophical, he's a multi-dimensional winning individual, and he's so smart. He said, spirituality is mere science that has yet to be discovered. When he said that to me the first time, I was like, wow, man, I'm mind blown. But it's true. It's true. And that's also why Einstein said, imagination is more important than knowledge. Because he knew that every single time that he had a breakthrough, it came from infinite intelligence. It came from intuition. It came from the higher dimensional planes, the spiritual planes, the celestial dimensions. And this is also why, last drawing, this is also why Tesla, Nikola Tesla, who obviously, as you guys all know, he said, if you want to discover the secrets of the universe, think in terms of energy, vibration, and frequency. He also said, my brain is a mere receiver from the universe and God, which gives us strength, inspiration, and knowledge. Your brain is a receiver. And this is going to be, Max, this is going to be the last drawing that I do for us to summarize all of this, how to unlock your genius self. Okay. So Tesla said that, and also Einstein also said a problem in your life, or in general, a problem cannot be solved with the same level of consciousness at which it occurred. What does that mean? It means that you need a higher level of consciousness to find a solution to your problem. And it also comes back to vibration, consciousness, frequency. So we are all mere energy, vibration, and frequency. It's extremely important for you to understand. And a last scientist that I will quote, find again, but I think it's not Blaise Pascal, but it's what's his name? He was the Nobel Prize. I'll find it again. I'll pull it up in the post editing. He was the Nobel Prize of Quantum Physics in 1933, and he said this beautiful quote: God is the mathematician of the highest order. So, Tesla said, my brain is only a receiver. What is Number 5? Number 6? Number 5? Number 5. How does the masses operate when it comes to their genius prodigy frequency? Well, I'll let you know here. What is this?
Une radio.
A radio. Perfect. So the problem with most people is that what they're emitting, right, like a radio, because the universe is a mirror, right? So you're a mirror radio. Again, remember that Samuel Morse, founder of Telegraph, and fucking his name, Guglielmo, what the fuck his name was? Guglielmo Marconi, whatever. Founder of the radio. They got this intuition of their invention from infinite intelligence. So what we have today is mere effect of the spiritual realm. Okay? So the problem with the radio is that obviously whatever it emits, right? Whatever it emits, you get back the corresponding program. Okay? So let's say, for instance, you're tuned into, I don't know, like 101.8 FM or AM, for instance, AM, right? Well, that is what you accept as a frequency, and you receive back the corresponding program. And the problem with the 99% of the masses, the program is what? The program is literally average AM dot AM and limiting belief .fm, for instance. That's literally the program that they are receiving because they're emitting that. And the universe is a mirror, remember, right? Universe is a mirror. Universe is basically, okay? Universe is a mirror. So it reflects back to you your vibration, your frequency, and your energy. Which is why if you're angry all the time, if you're bitter, or if you're frustrated, don't expect, if your baseline, your homeostasis baseline of emotion is bad and you don't have the coherence, gut brain, heart brain, cerebral brain, don't expect life to get better because it's going to reflect that back to you, making it even worse. So, most people have the wrong emission. They emit the wrong frequency and then they receive, the reception is bad as well. The wrong reception, right? Because obviously, you can only just get the program that you're asking for. So this is what most people do. Why? Because they vibrate at a low level, anger, fear, all of that, and they're absolutely misaligned with their genius self. Okay? So what do we do instead? Well, as Tesla said, your brain. Oh yeah, by the way, I want you to see this. This radio is literally your brain. Your brains. Okay, your brain. So the 3/3, okay? The 3 brains in your cerebral brain, and then the gut brain and the heart brain. And this is your reality. This is the program that you're asking to get. Okay? So obviously, because your brains are misaligned and the vibration is off, you receive a wrong reality. Now what do we do? What do we want to do? Well, we need to align our brains, our genius self, and our prodigy self to receive a better reality. Okay? And by the way, I'll finish off with that. I'm going to tell you exactly, therefore, practically how you need to align spiritually, mentally, and physically for you to unlock your genius self. Okay? So, what does it mean? Well, this radio, okay? This is your radio. You need to change the program. You need to change your frequency. Okay, so let's say, for instance, here, you want 888.888.fm, let's say. Okay? Then, what happens then? Well, you emit a certain vibration, frequency, and energy, and then that emits the positive thing that you want, that is synchronized in line. And the frequency and vibration, because you're aligned, because you're coherent, and because you've aligned all your brains, then it's a strong one. It's a strong frequency. Okay, it's a strong vibration and frequency, which then the program gets you the corresponding reality is abundance FM or genius AM, sorry, or prodigy AM. Boom, this is the program that you then get back to in strength, okay? You get back to that. So your reality is the one of a genius then. That's your reality now. Your reality. This is you / your brains. Okay, and your vibration. And then you see how over time you attract genius, abundance, prodigy in your life. Now, how to make sure that we emit the right signal? Well, remember, you exist on 3 planes. So you need to align the mental, the spiritual, and the physical. Okay? Mentally, think as if you were your genius self. Meaning, how would the version of you who is 200 IQ view the world or think about the world or think in terms of thought processes? What is the belief system of a 200 IQ person? I'm already giving you in these videos kind of like the right belief system that these high level IQs people would have. Blaise Pascal, Einstein, Tesla, Heisenberg, even Georges Lemaitre, who was the founder. That's so funny, by the way. That's so funny. Do you know the founder of the father of Big Bang Theory? The Big Bang Theory? The father of the Big Bang Theory, and the Big Bang Theory is usually used by atheists or agnostics to say, that's the proof of God not existing. Bro, the father of the Big Bang Theory was a Catholic priest and a physicist. His name was Georges Lemaitre. And he literally said, religion, obviously I'm not religious, but he was meaning in the spiritual sense of the thing. Religion and science can collaborate together. They're the outspring of the same creative source, which is God, basically. Bro, when I saw this, I was like, okay, the masses don't even know what their belief system is, and they don't even know where it comes from. That's the majority of the people. The majority of the people, this is, by the way, this is the 1%. The majority of the people, the 99%, they don't even know where they're getting their belief system from. Usually it's their parents, their society, broke teachers, all of that. So you need to be extremely clear on where you get your belief system, your opinions, your consciousness from, because frequency, energy, vibration, and consciousness is extremely contagious, which is why I'm so huge into mentoring people either create their own cash flow system or scale their existing cash flow system, whether it's their business or the investments or anything like that, by aligning the 3 planes of existence and by using metaphysics, quantum physics, and basically the esoteric secrets of the universe in their favor. Because consciousness is contagious, when you're in your 9 to 5, what is usually happening? People are toxic. People are focusing on gossiping, drama, except if you're like high level. But there is some type of like a weird vibe usually in all the people that have helped when they went from corporate or 9 to 5 to entrepreneur, to business owner, to investor. But usually it's low level consciousness. Somebody who is super high level consciousness, they would find a way to create their own cash flow system or scale their own equity, their own percentage, or their own asymmetric upside in their 9 to 5. So why am I saying this is basically because this is why I'm so hellbent as well to help people build their personal brand, and I'll do a masterclass on personal brand and authentically building wealth, and why it's so important to have a personal brand in 2025, 2026, 2027, and 2028. But literally, consciousness is so contagious that if you are not able to you yourself design the mental diet, the emotional diet, the food diet, and be controlled and be sovereign in all aspects, specifically consciousness, you'll get fucked and you'll never be able to become successful. Simply because you're letting the outside world dictate your inner world. And the problem is, until you are extremely mentally tough and you've reprogrammed your subconscious mind, it's going to be very hard for you to escape that. This is why I'm so hell-bent on helping people build or scale their existing cash flow system, whether it's a personal brand, online coaching business, educational business, an existing brick and mortar or online business that you guys have. So by the way, if you want my help to scale your life, scale your brand, scale your business to the next level, and all the while excelling in all aspects, send me a DM on Instagram, Anomaly, and I'll see if I can help you out. I'm not doing a lot of coaching these days because I have a lot of investments to take care of. But if I see a fit, we'll work together. Cool. So mentally, if you want to be a genius, see yourself in your mind's eye as a prodigy and as a genius already. Develop the skill, develop the knowledge, whether it's in health, wealth, relationships, health, wealth, or relationships. Develop the genius level knowledge. For instance, in health, it could be, the health Pareto lever that you can use to become healthier. It could be the study of your psychobiology, neuroimmunology, mitochondrial health. In business, it could be asymmetric upside investment systems. In relationship, it could be high level vibration and deep psychobiology, whatever it is. But think as a genius already. How would the version of yourself that has 200 IQ think? And I'm not saying it's going to be easy at first. It takes some practice. Spiritually, feel as the genius you already are. Because I'm telling you, in this infinite universe, in this infinite dimension, there's a version of you that is already the prodigy and the genius that you think you are. That's me. There's already a version of you that has all the things that you want, that is already the genius, the prodigy, that is already the multimillionaire, that is already excelling in every single aspect. So feel as if that you're already a genius. When you walk into a room, you know that you have the capacity, you know that you're the prodigy, you know that you're the genius. And physical, take the actions of your genius self, okay? Whatever that means to you. Is it, resting your brain, taking one day of rest day in the week without caffeine to balance your cortisol level? Is it, aligning on 3 planes, taking care of your health, taking care of your relationship, balancing everything, rewatching this video over and over again, reprogramming your subconscious mind? Whatever it is, you need to align also on these dimensions. This is a topic that is not necessarily easy for a lot of people to understand. So I'll give you one tool. This video is not sponsored. I don't have anything that I sponsor. I have my own products. I don't need sponsoring. But I give one tool to all my clients, specifically the people that have ADHD, that are overthinker. By the way, if you're an overthinker, that's a blessing in disguise. Because if you're an overthinker, you're actually a deep thinker. Only the fact that you're overthinking is a proof that you're thinking deeply about life, about existence, about everything, about certain topics. So if you're a deep thinker, what does that mean? You are a genius in disguise, okay? So if you're an overthinker, you're actually a genius in disguise. I want you to reframe that and change the label, change the perception that you have of yourself. I'm an overthinker. Fuck off. You are a genius in disguise, or you are a genius. Watch this video over again. So it helps my overthinking clients or my ADHD clients to really channel all their brain power into the right direction. And this tool is to be used as a transitional tool until you're able to, you yourself, tap into directly the programs that you want. It basically helps you to be more coherent, have better coherent brain waves. So basically align your cerebral brain. And the name it's an app/website called brain.fm. Okay, you can try it out. It helps you get into the flow. It helps you get into alpha state where you're more easily in the flow after 15 minutes and therefore being more calm in terms of the reptilian brain, coherent in terms of emotions, and therefore more lucid. Try it out. Let me know what you think and tell me in the comments. And yeah, man, see you next time. Ciao, ciao. Mais attends, je vais la fermer.
C'est ça, ouais.
Il fait chaud dans ce pays. Ok, ça va.
Écrit God damn, thanks to Hugo, mentorships. Non mais je peux pas.
Si, mais t'y étais.
Non, j'ai un champignon.
C'est vrai en plus, putain. Bah, parce que je sais que l'univers est holographique en fait. Donc c'est pour ça qu'il y a un champignon à la place. Mais attends, tu sais quoi? J'ai vu un truc comme ça où il y a des mecs, parce qu'ils prenaient des champignons, ça y est, comment ils avaient. T'as compris?
Oui.
Je suis fatigué aujourd'hui, je sens que ça va être une longue journée. We're gonna be crazy like the shit.
Ouais.
Ouais. Faut pas rester sérieux 2 minutes quoi.
C'est ton combienième
De 1, ça te regarde pas. De 2, c'est 4. Go, ça tourne depuis 5 minutes. Waouh. Ok, c'est bon. Bon. Welcome. Non, vas-y.